Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be over the Power Rangers Once and Always 30th anniversary special that we got on Netflix here recently. You know, as a 90s kid, I was really excited about this and what they had to offer as far as the story. I did a reaction to the trailer, got a lot of hits, very thankful for that. And, you know, so there was a lot of theories, there was a lot of what ifs and who's going to do this part and certain people that weren't going to be involved, and of course because of the passing of other certain characters and everything, it was kind of a sore spot or whatever, considering that they were doing a review and a little afterthoughts about it. I kind of wanted to dive into this. Power Rangers for me was a big thing for me growing up because, as I mentioned, I was a 90s kid. I was probably 8 years old when the show premiered way back in 1993. And I followed a few of the spin-offs that they did. I was in it clear up to maybe a little past Zeo, and they did Turbo, and I think Lost Galaxy was probably the last one that I actually watched, because at that point I was a little bit older and I was becoming interested in other things. But I did check in on it from time to time to see where the story had gone, and I know that JDF made multiple appearances through the different iterations of the show, and we also had Austin St. John come back, and then also Billy. He was in it for quite a while, but he ended up leaving due to difficulties on the set and everything. And so the fact that they came back and did this, because I know that David Yost, who played Billy, I think he was the main driving force behind this, and hell, I think he started doing this probably back in like 2013. I remember hearing bits and pieces of it and what they were trying to accomplish and everything. And so to see him and Walter Jones come back and do this and involve other generations of Rangers, because yes, it would have been nice to see Amy Jo Johnson come back, and this was before the passing of JDF. It would have been nice to see him in this role one last time, but he did decline to do it, and as well as Amy Jo Johnson, she didn't want to do it, and there's a lot of controversy around it, saying that she turned it down because they weren't paying her enough, or she just had certain demands and everything. But she actually went on record to say none of that was true. There's a lot of other different reasons, and just because the fact she didn't really want to get into spandex in her 50s, which I can understand. So having David Yost, Walter Jones, Steve Cardenas, and Catherine Sutherland come back and do pretty much the main Power Ranger roles, along with the actress who played Trini's daughter, which was the main driving point behind the story, was that Trini dies within the first probably 5 minutes of the movie or episode or whatever you want to call it. And this is kind of the main plot point behind the story. These Rangers are playing true to their true age, where they're in their late 40s, early 50s, where they have been at this for a very long time, on and off. And yes, the timeline or what have you, the story over the last 30 years, probably all over the place. And as I said, I did not keep up with every retelling of the Power Rangers with the different generations and everything that they did, but they kind of wanted to pay tribute to Thuy Trang, who played Trini, who unfortunately passed away in 2001 in a car accident. And so they wanted to pay tribute to her. Then after this was filmed and completed and everything, shortly after, JDF unfortunately passed as well. So anyways, getting into the movie itself, they go in and it's the return of Rita Repulsa. And this is where it kind of threw some people, because within the series, Rita, Lord Zed, all the multiple evils throughout the Power Rangers universe were obliterated through the Z-Wave, through Zordon being destroyed and his purity being spread across the universe and expelling the evil from all these different people. Well, it seems that the evil that was in Rita still existed, and it was out in the universe, and it was explained that it was basically Billy's fault that this evil that is Rita Repulsa got brought back, because him and Alpha are trying to bring back Zordon, and in doing so, they actually bring back Rita. She takes over the body of Alpha 7 or 8 or whatever it was, and takes over, and this is how she is corporeal again. She is back as Rita Repulsa, but in a robotic body, and she is on a hellbent mission to take revenge upon the Rangers that destroyed her and defeated her time and time again. And it's in this that it gets Trini killed. And they do a time jump a year later, where we see that Trini's daughter has, she's known since the get-go, kind of by accident, what happened. And discovering that Zach and Billy, who are basically her guardians, more so Zach, that they are in fact Power Rangers. And this is something they've been keeping from her whole life just because it was for her safety and everything. But we did see that Zach and Billy and the rest of the Rangers, they did have lives outside of this. They did go on to do different things. Zach went on to be a congressman, and Billy went on to form his own company and everything, which is actually on the top of the command center, and everything else is underneath. And so after the death of Trini, it's all about revenge for her daughter. She spends the next year training, doing everything she can to prove herself to hopefully become the next Yellow Ranger. And of course she is kind of denied this because the Morpher or the Grid or what have you isn't going to let her become a Ranger out of revenge or anything malevolent or anything like that. And she tries to morph and it fails when she takes it upon herself to go and try to defend the juice bar from a gang of putties who are attacking, because at this point Rita is sending her forces all over the world and she's actually out to capture Power Rangers. And with the original Rangers, because we get in the beginning that we have our original team of Rangers, the Red Ranger, Green Ranger, Yellow, and Pink are all still supposedly Kimberly, Trini, Tommy, and Jason. Well, they were not a part of this for obvious reasons. You know, Twee has passed long ago, and JDF actually declined to be a part of it, and I don't know if Austin St. John had actually been asked to do it. I don't think he did because of his legal troubles and everything. But that did not stop them from using audio clips. There was audio clips during the first opening battle, which is just of their hi-yahs and everything, just voice bits from their fighting. And then we hear those voice bits again through the 1 year time jump when they're all meeting at Trini's grave to do a kind of a tribute and kind of an anniversary thing for her. We hear them morph in the background using sound bits from the original actors. So we never actually see any faces or anything, and that's how they kind of play off, where they get into this battle at this cemetery and they are actually captured, and Rita is capturing Rangers to power this machine to go back in time to prevent them from ever becoming Power Rangers. So, you know, it's a quick 55-minute movie. They waste no time. They don't kind of try to use filler bits or anything to fill up the time of the movie or just take up time. And so it was a good choice on that part. So they weren't taking a bunch of useless crap and trying to add it into the movie. And unfortunately, we didn't get Bulk and Skull in the flesh, but we did get a shout out to them where there's a battle going on, and then we have a display sign of a Bulk and Skull sandwich shop where it says, use your skull, buy in bulk. It's kind of a shout out to their characters and everything, and that gets destroyed, but that's the only kind of shout out to those characters that we get. And then it continues on, and it's after this initial battle, or after Jason and the rest of the gang get kidnapped or captured to power this machine, we call in another generation of Rangers. It's called the Pandora Protocol, where Alpha sends out a message across the universe alerting all Power Rangers, get to your stations, you know, shit's about to hit the fan, basically. And so this alerts Kat and Rocky. They are brought to the command center where Alpha shows them that they can duplicate the powers of existing Power Rangers so they can use them by extension. And so that's how we get Rocky and Kat back as the Pink and Red Rangers. Between Rocky, Kat, Billy especially, and Zach, they are at the forefront because I think they are the driving force for this movie, for the reunion and everything. And also I think just a lot of it was actually written by David Yost. And so they did this, and we get these big battles and fighting off all these putties. We also have two monsters that are from Power Rangers past. I can't recall their names right now because I've only watched the movie once, and that's already been 4 days ago. Or 3 days ago, whenever the hell it was. But we get these two monsters, and they're actually, one of them is actually responsible for kidnapping the other Rangers, and they are now being used as a power source for this machine. They go after them at Rita's castle, which is, again, on the moon. They go in there kind of covertedly or whatever, and they attack these other two monsters and get them out of the way, and they go after the putties because they're trying to power down this machine because they figure out that it is a time machine for Rita to use to get back and, what she says, kill them in their sleep so they can never become Power Rangers. And so with also kind of a side note with this Power Rangers, with the original series being a kids series and everything, you don't ever hear the words kill or death. But in this, it's actually used quite a bit because they know that the generation that grew up with them, we're all adults now. We can handle this stuff. And so they waste no time using those words and everything. And also just with the battles and everything, and getting to where they actually face Rita and these other monsters, because we do get the Megazord and the, along with the acting, the way they do things, the punches, and the Megazord especially. Again, it looks campy as fuck, but in the best way possible, because the animation and everything that they use to bring the Megazord back to life, and the way that they're introduced and everything, it looks just like the original series, where it's not super high budget stuff, but it still holds because it's for us kids that grew up with it and everything. So again, it's not something where we expect it to be a multi-million-dollar project, but they use it to appeal to us, and it does so very well. And so they do this, and along with the kind of grown-up tone that they have, when they go to face Rita, Billy actually impales her from behind with his weapon, his lances, I think they are. And he impales her from behind. And this is definitely another adult-themed kind of tone where you would have never seen that in the original series. And so we get that, and then we see her actually come back because she's not completely dead. Obviously, they have to have kind of one last hurrah for this, one of the biggest villains of Power Rangers. And they go to fight her again after they've fought these other monsters with their Megazords, because you can't have a Power Rangers battle without their Megazords, and Rita shouting to make her monsters grow and everything. And so they get back, they fight Rita once again because she's not completely dead. Kat, she actually impales her again, I think, within this railing on her castle balcony or whatever. And then Zack full on blasts her almost point blank with his axe blaster power weapon or what have you, and completely destroys her and everything. And then they destroy this machine to free the other Rangers. And so the whole movie being only 55 minutes, again, they wasted no time getting to the point. They did not try to squeeze in little bits here and there to just be filler pieces and to waste our time or maybe create plot holes. I'm sure there are plot holes because the whole timeline of Power Rangers is kind of all over the place. And so they did this, closed out the movie in true kind of Power Rangers episode form, where they've defeated the monster and everything, and now they're back at the juice bar. Rocky and Kat go back to their lives because Rocky is a fireman and Kat is a mom and everything, so they go back to their lives. And then we see where because Trini's daughter actually does become a Power Ranger within that final fight. She sacrifices herself, or attempts to, jumping in front of Billy as Rita is going after him. And then it's here the Morpher gets hit, and it kind of recognizes this as a self-sacrifice kind of thing, and it deems her worthy, basically. It's there that she can become the Yellow Ranger, and she joins in this fight. So flash forwarding back to the juice bar, they're sitting there, they're reminiscing about the past monsters they faced and about Trini, and just kind of really making this movie about her and really paying tribute to her after all these years, because she's been gone for a long time at this point. And so they really got around to paying tribute to her, paying tribute to the actress and everything, because it was not maybe 4 or 5 years after she had left Power Rangers. She had done a handful of other things acting-wise, and then she was unfortunately killed in the car accident. And so she never really got any real closure as far as the character is concerned within the Power Rangers universe. She was just there, and then she was gone because she had left over not being paid fairly, which was why Jason and Zack also left. But they kind of brought it all back, and they did it right. And there was not super high hopes for this to begin with, because we knew it was not going to be a super high budget thing. But they did it right, and then they ended it all, and I got a little choked up about it. They ended it with a tribute to Thuy Trang and Jason David Frank at the end of it. They had a clip from a past episode where they're all sitting there and Kimberly's singing to them. And then we got the flash on the screen with their picture saying "in memory, once a Power Ranger, always a Power Ranger." And just it was a real kind of choked up moment, I'm sure, for a lot of people that grew up with it. And it was proper closure to those people, because especially Jason David Frank, who continued on in the Power Rangers world and was there for different retellings of every generation of Power Rangers. And not only that, the man himself behind Tommy Oliver, Jason David Frank, he went out and he did cons for years and years and met his fans. I was very fortunate to meet him one time, and the fact that he made time for his fans the way he did and would have conversations with them and play jokes on them, or just, let them know how important or how grateful he is for them. Otherwise, he would not have a career. And so it was really unfortunate that he passed away and everything, but they paid tribute to him, and they just did it right. And the whole thing was done in a way that I think if they really wanted to, they could probably do a sequel piece or something to kind of follow up with it. But that is 18 minutes of yammering on, and so I just want to say that I did enjoy it, and they did it right, and I kind of hope they do something a little bit more. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, maybe they'll just kind of take this as a win and move on. But it was definitely worth the watch, and it was definitely a throwback, nostalgic kind of thing. And I recommend it to anyone who wants to watch it, who wants to kind of get back to what it feels like to be a kid and just watch these characters take part in this new chapter in their lives and everything. So anyways, if you enjoyed my breakdown and thoughts on this, please leave comments. I want to know what you guys think. Did you enjoy it? Do you think they should do another one? And so on. Obviously, leave the likes. I'd really appreciate it. And if you feel so inclined, subscribe to the channel. That would be super. And kind of a little side note, I am trying to do more TikTok, so I have a link to that on my page. Please check that out. And I guess that'll do it. So until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.